Hi, everyone. I'm Mikey. This is Tyler. We're the founders of Innovative Start Organization, a nonprofit that teaches financial literacy. And today we have a video basically talking about some of our college choices from a financial perspective. Again, in most of our videos, we try to inform, not persuade, and also sometimes tell some personal stories just to relate to some of our viewership. But yeah, to get started, let's give a little background, I guess, of, when we went to college, kind of like some of the things as far as like what it looked like as a college environment, maybe pricing points versus like maybe when you last visited your campus. But I'll go first. Went to the University of Missouri, also known as Mizzou STP School. And then I would say 2017 to 2021 was my college career. One thing that I liked about it was kind of close to where I'm from, St. Louis, and then uh, two, there wasn't a jump and who you know there because most of the people that were from my city were also there plus some, so it's easy to adjust as far as like making friends and such. From a financial perspective, though, I think you're on a very level playing field with college students because it's your first like step into the adult world once you get on college campus. Now, that's not the same for everybody. Sometimes, your parents are like, oh, let me ease you into it. Other people are like, you got it. Let me just drop you off and yeah, we'll fix your dorm up and then I'll see you on holiday. Um, but I would say like one of the biggest things that I learned is staying on campus freshman year in a dorm. I would say is one of my biggest regrets. For experience, it was nice. Financially, it was not. It's hard to like talk about financial things because like at the moment I'm like, like that was a decision that was made, there's nothing I can really do about that. But when you really think about it, when you get older, you're like, could I have been without that? For sure, maybe. I think it's just hard to kind of pinpoint like, oh yeah, like this was the best decision ever because your mind is still, not financially sound, especially probably until you graduate and then some. So, um, yeah, I would say that was kind of a summary of my first year experience and then lived off campus here and there. But before we get more into the financial stuff, I'll let Tyler introduce some of his college journey too as well.
Yeah, I went to University of Georgia, another SEC school is great. I don't I don't know how it is at Mizzou, Mikey, but we can't we were you had to get an exception if you didn't live on campus freshman year. So
Hmm.
it's kind of forced. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I would, I would, in between classes, I would walk all the way up the hill to my dorm to take like a 20-minute nap and on my couch and then walk on my other classes. I would finesse it or take a nap at the libraries. Man, it's kind of funny looking back. Yeah, I had a good time.
I was gonna say, I think you also had to have an exception too as well. Um, I would say mostly, or I forgot what, but I would say for the exception as well. I think there was one. I'm not sure. I can't really remember. I know like for certain dorms. Also, when I went to that school, they were in a like one of their lowest enrollment periods for some controversy that they had the prior year. I think they were like 30% down in enrollment, which is like really bad for like a college. But if you want to read up on that, obviously I already told you what the school is. But I would say same with you, walking all the way back to my dorm. Our campus is a cubic mile, so basically like I would have classes on the far side and then go back to the far side for a 15-minute nap just to get back up. Another thing that was also crazy was getting up for school for a 9 a.m. felt terrible. I felt like I was getting up at the crack of 9, even though literally a year prior I was getting up, for school at like 7 a.m. to, start class at 8. So I, it's the transition that's like weird. Like I'm like I used to get up earlier than this. Why is it such a struggle? Um, but yeah, it's very interesting, I would say. And then walking to all your classes in the heat, in the cold, in the rain. Yeah. It's like, oh, you gotta really brace the elements all to do all that and then get into your crammed up seat in lecture hall and be all sweaty and yeah, I don't
Oh
miss.
yeah, keep that umbrella on.
Yeah,
Everybody's wet.
everything's wet. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably like the worst um when it comes to like just navigating through campus. One of my accounting professors was like, um, if I in my old age can get everywhere in 10 minutes, nobody should be late to my class. But yeah, I used to kill him when people walk in late. And he would start the class off with that like every single time. He's like, hey, it doesn't take you that long. Um, but yeah.
And the buses are all like humid and muggy whenever it's
Oh,
raining.
yeah. Don't even, yeah.
Near the,
The
yeah.
snow too, when it's all like when you carry the snow in and then it gets all dirty and woo. I'd say it's like an adventure. When you really think about it too, I would say going into like our next part too, is some of the costs of just campus life. Not even like living on campus, but when you get that breakdown of your, semester bill, and you're like, what the hell are they charging me for? I think when I was going there, they had implemented a 3% increase in their credit hour charges. So when I first started, a credit hour I think was like 215 per class, and then by the time I graduated, it was up to like 280 something. So within those 4 years, like that's a big difference, especially if that's just one credit hour. Now, if you're looking at, 3 credit hours or whatever else, or you have a full schedule of 12 to 15 credit hours, like that add up. And then you have like the gym charge, you have the transportation charge. That when I first saw that, I was like, who's transporting me? I was like, can I get this up? Like, I don't use any transportation. The local like busing system that they have for campus was what they were charging for, regardless if you used it or not. I used it once I realized that I couldn't take it off as an individual item. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna utilize it because there's no point if you gonna charge me, I forgot how much it was, but it was way too much. Um, but yeah, I think those are some of the things like just actually reading the line items off. My freshman year, I was like, 5,700 for a closet space for one semester. That's whatever. But then yeah, after that year, I was like, okay, I'm already like 12, 13K in the hole, and I was like, that was just one full year. This is ridiculous for in-state tuition and with all of my scholarships, Pell Grants. Like I was like, yeah, this is so. College is extremely expensive. It doesn't make no sense. And then people be like, obviously, and this is what I was telling my younger self too: go to community college. Take those dual credit classes in high school. That way you can finish up early instead of, doing the whole 4 years or whatever. You can knock out, a semester, 2 semesters. It was people coming to college and they're like, yeah, I'm a freshman, but I'm really a junior credit wise because I got 60 credits. And I'm like, bro, what? I'm like, there's no way. You're in the same grade as me. You just started school. Like, yeah. So, make smart and financially sound decisions uh, at the end of that. But more in some of your financial experiences or like things that you noticed. I think like also too, as I said, like expenses for that first semester, possibly second semester, really woke me up. But
Yeah, no, I mean, they have green fees. I mean, some of these things are good, keeping the campus clean and stuff, but it adds up. And I think, don't, I wouldn't be ignorant on, or just ignorance is bliss type of mentality. Like, know what you're paying for, know what's coming out of your pocket, expect some things. And yeah, I would go from there. I mean, on that community college note, it is a thought to live at home if you're able to, and it's a safe environment for you to live at home, hopefully for free. If you have to get a side job, pay your parents rent or your guardians rent, whoever that is. Maybe go to community college or go to college online, and then maybe you go live in a city if you're trying to get that young people experience. I think that's a big thing with college nowadays is people want that experience, which is great. I don't, maybe it's my opinion. I don't know if that's necessarily always needed specifically at a college.
mhm.
That's gonna, you can get 50, 100K, however much it is, people go into debt. Where you can live in a city, you know, Tampa's a cool city. I don't know. I was just talking to someone about Tampa the other day. It's got a lot of young people. You can still have that young community. But anyway, sorry, back to my first year. Yeah, it's just, just things to be aware of, like bedding. You got to go to, I remember going to Bed Bath and Beyond. You got to get all your bedding, your pillows, your clothes.
Microwave,
Uh,
mini fridge if you need that
yep,
too. Yeah.
exactly. I'd go on Facebook Marketplace for that. You don't need anything new. You're only going to use it for a year anyway. So, yeah, it's just something to be aware of and think about. I think I got my couch used from someone that was just finish their freshman year or something. But like we just got everything dry cleaned or whatever, and because we were barely even in there in the first place, my roommate and I would study a lot outside of the room. So yeah, those are just things. And in the dining hall, if you pay for the dining hall, man, they took a hit on me, and I guarantee it. I was making sure they were going to as well. That is expensive. It's I think on average for UGA it was something between like $13 and $15 a meal. So like utilize that. Some people that I knew wouldn't do that. It adds up, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say like what you're saying. I forgot what my meal plan was, but yeah, some people would like sell their swipes, I guess,
Oh
and
yeah.
like try to get those utilized up, especially if you had like an older sibling on campus or something like that. But you would look at stuff and like maybe you want some type of food, but it was some like you're like, damn, it's gonna cost me this much swipes to like, eat. Like you really have to plan. It's it's interesting, I would say. Like the amount of cost I had between my freshman year versus my sophomore year were like drastically different. Because like I said, I
Oh,
think I spent probably about 12 to 15K and like just total debt there. And then my next year, my sophomore year, I stayed in the duplex. I had roommates. My rent was $241. I don't think you're gonna
that's
get that. I
crazy.
don't think you're getting that anywhere. We literally stayed off campus. Um, yeah, I think the total rent for the whole place was like $741, like for a three bed, two bath. Crazy. You're not getting that price. Like even now, even in the most rural, you're not getting that price. Especially in the college town, you're not getting that price. I think the total worth of the property was like since it was a duplex, probably like 100K and some change. Like you're like I said, you're not. It was a steal. Nice neighborhood, park nearby. Like it wasn't even really that far from like campus. And Columbia's just like a small college town, really. So, um, crazy, straight like dwindled down. And then mostly just I say I spent probably more in groceries, to be honest. But that was pretty much it. And then I worked on campus. I think I was getting paid like $8 an hour, using that to like basically pay my rent. But yeah, and meal prepped. I meal prepped just basics, chicken and rice. That was my lunch after the school. I didn't go out and buy anything unless like I didn't bring anything. But the difference was probably like what my total rent for that year was probably less than 4K for 12 months, and then with everything else as far as like my expenses to utilities, yada yada. But yeah, probably the best year. Junior senior, I can't say it got better. I went to a nicer community, but it was like 600 a month in rent, which is like, oh, that's not a lot, but like college wise, especially like for as much as I was bringing in from my campus job and whatever else, like that was a lot. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Don't even get me started on the rent I pay now. So that looks like nothing. Like if I could go back to that, I could pay the rent of all three rooms with how much I pay now. So um, yeah, I would say it was kind of nice and both like oh it was a sound financial decision my sophomore year, my last 2 years, yeah. And then yeah, subleasing is important. I know a lot of people do that, but do not. There's a lot of kids that'll come and take some summer classes and need somewhere to stay. Get out there early if you know you're not gonna stay in that place and you know you're gonna probably move either or. Get that thing sublet and make a couple bucks.
Make sure it's legal too, though. You don't want to get
Yes.
caught. I mean, not saying you. I'm just, how some of those property managers are. They don't like
Definitely.
that, or some of them are cool with it. Some of them, I think, even one that I lived at, they would even match you with someone. You have to do any work, like they would do everything for you. So,
Yeah,
um,
I would say it's hard to like. I only subleased. I subleased from somebody one summer when I was in between, like moving places, and that was nice because I did it like right off campus, so that I could just walk to campus and whatever else, and then it was close to downtown, so you can just walk downtown. One thing I do not like about just like in general with being in college is moving a lot. I feel like what happens is after your freshman year, either people like go get a house off campus and everybody shares rent, or you go stay in like a college community where like they just have like apartments where a bunch of college like typically stay. So, um, extremely interesting because my junior/senior year, I stayed. in like a college community where a lot of like Mizzou football players, and so there'd be a lot of football games, especially home games. So it's a lovely place though. Shout out Grayson. But yeah, I would say like one of the smartest things I did though, like I said, that sophomore year was one started my credit journey. I think I started that like 18, 19-ish. I got a Discover card. It was basically put a down payment on it, and then your down payment was your credit line, which was only like I think $200 at the time, and then you just make some good payments. I think I did that for like 6 or 7 months, and then they gave me like a 700 back, which was nice, especially like for times like I was like, okay, like I didn't have um, probably cash on hand for like gas or grocery next week. Really clutch. I think like having that made me think differently about my finances because before having a credit line, like either you got the cash or you don't. That's really how it is. So it's like if you don't have the money, like what do you do in that situation? Like you can ask your parents or guardian or whatever else, but it really puts a different perspective on it when you're like, okay, like I do have this emergency line if I need it, where I can utilize that and then be able to recover from it without having to go out and maybe ask somebody for, a few bucks here or whatever. Um, but yeah, if you have those options, utilize it. But if you don't start that credit journey, you're gonna need it down the line. Might as well go ahead and get started early. Anything from you as far as like sound financial decisions you did in college?
Yeah, I would say I tried to eat at the meal like my meal plan. I think sophomore, junior year, I did like a commuter meal plan. So I would always eat lunch on campus. The
Hmm.
business school was right by one of the dining halls, and then I would meal prep in the after like for dinners. And then I actually worked at a fast food restaurant, so they would actually give me free food while I was on shift there, which helped a lot as well. Um, and then I would just do like, eggs or a cheap breakfast option, and then like cereal, milk, get the protein in for cheap. Um, I started, I think my credit card junior year, similar situation with Discover as
Hmm.
well. They want to sponsor us, go ahead and hit us up. Uh, but yeah, that was good. Just slowly tried to build up my credit. There was some hesitancy there, obviously, with just people, people like, oh, you just gotta be careful and things like that. Yeah, I would say, there's some, I know one thing we want to talk about was some mistakes we made. Definitely a mistake I made in college. It's hard. It's a hard balance to find, but man, I spent so much money eating out as well towards the
Hmm.
later years. And finally, like my senior year, I would try to get smart with it. I would eat a snack and then eat like an appetizer out with friends or something. Just like try to game the system a little bit
Hmm.
and being smart because it adds up. I mean, everybody's going out, they're going to all these events, or it's one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you're spending $30 to $50 in one night. And again, if you're not, I mean, I was making minimum wage, maybe a little bit above minimum wage on my job. There's some bills to pay with some of that. So yeah, that was one mistake I made. I'm trying to think if there's any other larger mistakes. Thankfully, I was able to use the same suit all throughout college. I fit
Yeah,
that as well. So that
which
was,
is hard to do because you get that freshman 15. Weight fluctuates when you're in college. Like, just to better know how it is, it fluctuates. I had some times where I got into my suit and I was like, this thing is about to bust open. And other times I was like, okay, like, I'm back, I'm back. But yeah, I would say like that suit thing, you're for sure. I think we had like a event that they would host with JC Penney where you can go and get suits for half off, which was like clutch.
yeah,
'Cause I remember I think I got two full, was it? Yeah, I think I did for like $160, which was like a steal. Like suits
that's
are,
wild.
yeah, suits are like expensive. So being able to get something in there, especially for like when you're in the business school and stuff, career fairs, events, organizations you're involved in, like the organization I was involved in on campus, AKSI, like we had to wear suits, especially when I was pledging every week, and then also for like certain events when I was inactive and yada yada down the line. But I'm just like, yeah, that one suit saved my life. My whole freshman year, I used that for just about every event I could. There's a plain black suit and a little white button down, but yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, that's those are the biggest things. I mean, I was able to reuse bedding,
Hmm.
years, and then I haven't grown much since high school, so still fit in some high school clothes. I mean, there were some
Hmm.
things that I got obviously, but other than that, I mean, the biggest thing was just experiences with friends.
Hmm.
And it's hard, right? Because you want to have those. I think there's ways to save money, you know, and there was some insecurity there with some friends that may have been able to had a lot more money or their parents gave them a large amount of money, which is, good for them.
Hmm.
Um, Not everyone had that, so it was cool trusting friends and figuring out, hey, let's just go to the park or something. I don't know. Like we don't have to always go spend a bunch of money or go do all these expensive things together.
Yeah, I think that's where you
Now,
get to the point where you like everybody basically like when Venmo was very popular. I'm pretty sure like around that time, like that was probably the peak that I've used it, but like just buying stuff and sharing money around because you are college students at the end of the day, so you're like, hey, like I'll buy this, just send me half or whatever. You're like, yeah, navigating college life. But go ahead, Tyler.
no, I mean, yeah, it's well now that we're older, I mean, we got big boy money or big girl money, whatever.
Hmm.
You can go do, plan trips and things like
Hmm.
that with your friends whenever you have full-time jobs and stuff. But I do what you can in college, and that's really my experience. Did you have any things that you regret financially in college?
Yeah, investing. Like I didn't even hear until my sophomore year that that was like a thing that I could do on my own. Like I swear, like the amount of knowledge gotta Google, and I see how kids be feeling when they ask like silly questions, and you're like, bro, just put it on Google, like it's right there. Because I it never occurred to me, right? I thought there was just more of a wall to climb as far as to like individually invest and not have to go through like a broker or something like that. And then I was learning about things like Robinhood, Acorns, and all of this. And I was like, this, I think it was like a nursing student that came in. She did a presentation of it for like our communications class. I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I didn't know this as a business student. It's crazy. And then I get into like, and the thing is, it wasn't like I wasn't the only one because I was talking to people like from org or something like, hey, you heard of this? And I'm like, nah. And I was like, yeah, like you could do this. And he's like, what? It was probably around the period where Robinhood was first like taking off. But like those individual things, so like that was probably the best time. I remember I started, I think 2018. Yeah, so that would have been my sophomore year, I think, fall. But it was crazy to me. Then I learned so much about a bunch of things, but um, I just think if I would have started getting into investing a little bit earlier, that would have been the best. But also at the same time, like, and this is what I was going back to earlier, like there's decisions that you make that it just happens because at the end of the day, even if I did invest, it would have been like not enough money to really be able to like continue it essentially. So uh all the money that I made needed to be actually spent. There's no way I could put it up. So part of me is, you know, if I did use those few dollars maybe here and there that I've probably spared over months, throw it into there. But for me at the time, I was like, it's more of a survival thing. So I'm just gonna spend the money that I have to get those things out the way without having to continually invest, pull it out, invest, pull it out because I actually need that money. Teeter totter as far as that goes. Wish I could have done it, but could I have really done it when I was in college? Probably not. So it was one of those decisions where I'm like, I don't fault myself too much for it, but I know I could have through something. What about you?
Yeah, I would say that, or maybe just, yeah, like, um, I didn't really stick to a budget too much. Like, I knew what I had in my account, but I didn't have a set amount of like, hey, this is what I want to do for fun with my fun
Mm-hmm.
money or like my groceries. I kind of just was like, had a ballpark idea. It wasn't too bad, but then
Mm-hmm.
again, I would have liked to have more of a solid budget to where I would have known how much I could spend and things like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one too. Um, I think in reality, I did all my budgeting in my head, so it was like I was like, oh, like okay, rent's gonna be this much, I'm gonna get paid about this much, and I got this much to spend on groceries. Never was it like a written out thought or like actually something that I was trying to pull together. It was more like a summary on the go. So I would just be like, ah, I got this much money, do this and do that. Maybe if I go somewhere, I might have a few dollars and just, scared to check my account after a weekend or constantly checking it to make sure that I have the money to buy stuff. Like get to the grocery like line. I'm like, actually, do I have enough money to buy all the groceries that I'm getting? Let me double check before I start checking out. But yeah, I would say like just on the go math. I never really actually planned it out, which I think would help as far as my most of my income was pretty set and expenses were pretty set as well. I guess the variability if I went out or not. Um, Not going to talk about the pandemic at all because that doesn't count from a financial perspective. Um, that time I was, we just spending our money to have fun. There wasn't any other, I guess, going out expenses at home, having the time of life. So, but yeah, I would say to wrap things up as far as like, some of the discussion points. If you're getting ready to start, I know we're in the summer period now, so you'll have your on incoming freshmen. Once you're starting out, regardless of if you're staying on a dorm, you join organizations that require you to stay on campus or whatever, stay and pay your dues or whatever. At any point, budgeting should be the first thing in your head. Once you turn 18, you start your credit journey if you haven't already. Um, and then three, like see where there's give and take. If there's some things that you can really live without, let's go ahead and lean in towards that. I'm not sure what finances look like for college students now, like how much it is to rent at certain places, because obviously when I went to school and I was doing stuff, probably not the same. Like I'm sure those places that I stayed at and I was mentioning where I was paying, $240 rent and $600 for, rent here and there or whatever. That's nowhere probably near the same. Kids are probably paying like $1,000 a month if I'm, you know. So, um, Tyler could probably give you some more info on that. Maybe we'll talk about that in another video. He can share some of his real estate mindset with that. But we appreciate you guys for watching. Again, always, always, always budget. Ask people too. Ask older people, ask those
Yeah.
around you, ask your peers. Like, getting insight from everybody, whether it's sound or not, you can always try to do your own research. Take it in and say, like, hey, like this person said to, do this with my credit card. Let me just double check that. What's the consensus on that? Google's your best friend. It might be silly, but like go ahead. And then y'all, kids they got ChatGPT, all that. Like plug it in, get you some, do your own research, get your own info, and figure it out. Take somebody's, piece stuff that we talked about today, figure it out. These are things that work for you. If they don't, we'd be talking about a whole lot of nonsense, or it could be making a lot of sense to you. So, if that's the case, but let us know in the comments below some of your college stories as far as like financial things that you faced. And then also if you have any, answers as far as like what you can do better as a college student now, maybe entering that journey. But we appreciate you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you all next week.